Hi everyone, so today we have an analysis of the Indiana Senate race between incumbent Democrat Joe Donnelly and the Republican Mike Braun. So today we'll be looking at some polling data that we've been getting from the state of Indiana. Also look at the last time Joe Donnelly was on the ballot in the state of Indiana. Also look at the presidential results between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton in 2016. We'll look at Joe Donnelly's approval rating, the generic ballot polling, and Trump's approval rating. So, starting off Indiana. By the way, yesterday we did Tennessee and West Virginia, and the day before that we did Florida. And the next day, tomorrow, Tuesday, 2018. And on Wednesday we'll be doing New Jersey and Ohio respectively. So Indiana is the focus for today. So we have some polling data that we've been getting from. First one is from the Trafalgar group, and then the next one is from Gravis. So we'll look at both of those. I will put much more weight on the first poll because it was taken with a much bigger sample size with a smaller margin of error. It also is a Republican poll with Donnelly ahead, and this Gravis poll was taken back in May, so put more weight behind the first poll there. So this is the, we'll start off with the Gravis poll actually, if it's going to load. If you look at the Gravis poll, it shows that about 47% of people disapprove of Trump, and the other people approve of him with 7% uncertain. And it does show many different things, and Donnelly's approval rating here, most people said somewhat approve, some people said uncertain, and then if we go down to here it shows Mike Braun with a 1% lead, which is pretty interesting in a state like Indiana, where you have an incumbent Democrat who's pretty much approved of. But then if we go over to the other poll, Indiana, the Indiana Senate poll, 50.7% for Donnelly, 38.6% for Braun, and then if Donnelly votes for Brett Kavanaugh, it goes down to 39.4% to 38.5%, and if Donnelly votes against Kavanaugh, 45.3% to 38.0%. So either situation, Donnelly will be losing voters, which is pretty interesting. So now that we've going through the polling data, you would give a huge edge to Joe Donnelly. You would probably put it in the likely scenario, but that's not all the information because polling often is not right. So we'll also look at the previous time Donnelly was on the ballot, which was in 2012. He won with 50.0% of the vote, to the Republicans 44.3% of the vote, to the Libertarians 5.7% of the vote. So that's pretty interesting. If we go down to the polling data, what we were getting, if I can find it here. Most of the polls going into the election showed Donnelly ahead. This one, taken by Rasmussen, which is actually a Republican poll, even showed Donnelly ahead by 3%. This one showed Donnelly ahead by even more, and then this one showed a tie. But then earlier on, it showed to say that Richard Murdoch could win this race, but then as it got later in, it got closer. So we go down to the fundraising. It does show that cash on hand, the Republican had a much more cash than Donnelly, which is pretty interesting. So the next thing I guess we'll be looking at is the presidential race between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And it's very interesting to say the least, and Trump won most of the counties, just a few counties going for Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders did win the primary here, which is pretty interesting, but Donald Trump won the primary on the Republican side. And then again, Trump winning by a huge margin in the state of Indiana against Hillary Clinton. So again, Hillary Clinton winning 2 congressional districts and Trump winning all the rest, which is pretty interesting. But with looking at the previous election and the 2016 election, you would probably move Indiana more in a tilt Democratic direction, considering the 2012 election as well as the polling data. The 2016 election, you would move it more towards the Republicans. But next, we're going to look at the Joe Donnelly's approval rating. So, if I can find the state of Indiana here, this is from the Morning Consult, so pretty reliable. Joe Donnelly has a 42% approval rating, with a 32% disapproval rating, 26% have no opinion of him, and 1% don't know Joe Donnelly. So that's very interesting for a Democrat in Indiana to have almost half of the population approve of him is very interesting. So it's just a tiny bit less than the other senator from the state of Indiana, Todd Young. So if we look at Indiana and Trump's approval, Trump is approved +6. So that's Joe Donnelly has a better approval rating than Donald Trump in the state of Indiana, which is very good to say the least for Donnelly, especially considering Mike Pence is from the state of Indiana. I thought that Pence could have, gone to Indiana and tried to boost up the Republican a bit there, but that it doesn't look like that's going to happen with 100 days to the election. Now, the next thing we're going to look at, the final thing we'll actually just adjust out, and that based on what we just saw. Based on what we just saw, we would probably move it into, probably stay with the tilts. So next we're going to look at the generic ballot polling, and again, this pretty much applies mostly for the congressional districts, but this is the point I wanted to make in all my Senate videos. If you have Democrats by this amount coming out to vote, that is not recognized in this polling. We're in a Republican poll. It shows Donnelly ahead by 12 points. It's not showing that this enthusiasm gap, which would move it even more, beyond 12 points. Now, I'm not saying Donnelly's going to win by 12 points. I'm not saying that. It'll be within 5 points, but I'm just saying that if you have Democrats coming out to vote by this margin, they look pretty good for the Senate and gubernatorial elections as well, if you have Democrats coming out. So, again, with all factors considered, with that, and you would probably move it to a lean Democrat. But then when you consider Mike Pence, and if he could boost Braun's numbers up a bit, you would probably move it back into more of a tilt Democratic direction. So my final prediction is that Indiana will be within 5 points, within 2 points actually, meaning it would be tilt Democratic, between tilt and lean, but anyway. Thank you guys for watching this video. Next time tomorrow we'll be looking at New Jersey, the day after that Ohio, and then Pennsylvania. So these three, not really competitive as such, but again, it's always interesting to look at these races. So, and then as I said, yesterday we did Tennessee and West Virginia, both of whom I gave to the Democrats. And the day before that we did Missouri and Florida, both of which I gave to the Democrats. And then before that we did Texas, which I gave to the Republicans. So, thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.